Alright, I am back. It has been a while since I have reviewed The Mandalorian and Grogu on shorts. There is a new film that is recently released on my local theater, which is Backrooms by A24. I was looking forward to seeing this film because I was attracted with the Backrooms lore and aesthetic. And now that I've seen it, I will review the film and explain why I think it's mid by the title of this video. Backrooms is a horror film that is based on the short films or the series of Kane Pixel's Backrooms on YouTube, which Kane Pixels, going by his real name Kane Parsons, directed the film, and starring Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate Reinsve, who are the main characters in the film. Now, let's begin the video with the movie takeaways and analysis, which I will elaborate on what I've seen and what I can clarify. And just to give a quick heads up that this section of the video is based on my own understanding and what I've learned from the references that I've searched on the internet. So let's start off with the film itself. From what you can tell, it's all about the backrooms, which is the main setting where all the magic happens. To start off strong, since the film displays the aesthetic from the series, the visualization looks promising, with its setting of the yellow wall maze and the VHS aesthetic which deliberates the timeline on where it takes place, as well as some details from the series. One of those examples would be Async, which is a research facility who is responsible for examining the victims who entered the backrooms, and also the way of accessing the backrooms, which the term there is called no clipping or glitching in certain places, or in other words, passing through walls, doors, floors, wherever. So the visualization and its logic remain traditional to Kane Pixel's perspective, not involving any additional details that comes from game theory, like other areas in certain levels, additional entities that disrupts the players, and ways of escaping the backrooms. Like I said, it's based on the series by the director. For its production quality behind it, overall, it was solid. Since Kane Pixels directed the film, the quality is noticeable in the film because the way that the series is produced, Kane Pixels used the software like Blender to make the scene designs and the animation, and Adobe After Effects to make the VHS aesthetic. In the film, which I'm not 100% sure on how it's produced, it's the exact same thing. You have some scenes that are 3D animated. For example, in this clip of the trailer, it was done with the same workflow of 3D animation, scene design, animation, then filter compositing. There are also some scenes in the film that didn't use the VHS filter, and it's all done with just scene design and animation. So the production behind it was consistent by the use of 3D and also the similar aesthetic by the videography, which overall I am really impressed by because his film utilizes not only 3D work but the cinematography in a form of mixed media. So kudos to Kane Parson for his stunning cinema work. Now for its plot, which is the biggest gripe that I have with this film. To start off, the overall plot and experience is just like watching the found footages from the series. But the difference is it has a story where you have different characters that are trying to find out the mystery of the backrooms. And it feels like an adventure that has a goal that they're trying to achieve. It felt like it from the intro to the end of the climax. As it reaches to the falling action, that's where the plot shifts. To avoid further spoilers, I will try to describe it with a different context. As I said before, it started off being mysterious. Then it shifted to having a different tone. If I want to be literate, it shifted to being sinister, which relies on a specific coping mechanism that plays with one of the characters. But my take on that part of the film is how fast the change was. Because one of the main characters did the sinister parts on purpose. Then he suddenly became good again. So that type of character change lost its purpose on how that moment can develop more conflict. Or elaborate why did the character change from being this to that. But my biggest takeaway of the plot, together with the overall experience, is that it was neutral. Because it's like you're seeing deja vu all over again. From what I can analyze from the Backrooms found footages, it doesn't have a plot and it's more on the experience. But it has the same ending where one of the individuals suffers to their own despair and the additional episodes that displays the experiments and the reports adds little detail to the Backroom's lore. So all I can say about the plot in the film is that it doesn't have a purpose, but the purpose of its tone. Yes, it does have a story, which is the biggest difference, but once the duration was on three-fourths to its conclusion, the story shifted to being towards its inevitable, which made it feel the same. After all, it's impossible to escape the backrooms unless you know where the way out is. That's it for my analysis. Now for my final verdict. The film captures the essence of Backrooms, with its theme that was adapted by Kane Pixels and its history that resonates with it. Also displaying its solid visualization by its mixed media production. The plot delivers its horror experience just like in the series, where you have build-ups or the anticipation for something that comes. But its adaptive storytelling depth wasn't prioritized as much, so the plot is mainly focused on the overall outcome, from where it starts and how it finishes, having that same experience just like in the Backroom series. And with that, this is my final rating for this movie. 3 and 1/4 or 3.25 out of 5 stars. I say this rating is okay. The film is all on the aesthetic and the experience, but not something that can be much different from the series. Because the expectation of all is how certain medias or franchises can achieve as a film, and what differs from them. As for Kane Parson making his cinema debut, that was not so bad for a start, since the movie received positive feedback from critics and audiences from Rotten Tomatoes. As for myself, the film has its positives and negatives, so there's always room for improvement. Now, to conclude this video, the film Backrooms was not the first film that comes to my mind making this video, because I was planning to watch Obsession before Backrooms and make a review out of it, since that film was living to its hype and evidently receiving high ratings. But since that movie didn't come out in my local theater, I had to wait for the next one, which is Backrooms. And now I am making this video and telling my perspective about it. Also, I didn't think that the Backrooms would get this big, because it started as a meme from the internet that became a trope. Then it became inspired by games like NetBots and the Classrooms, or any other game that you know about, and that a company like A24 would make a film out of it. So now that I've explained my side of the film, I would like to ask for your thoughts of the film, if there are any positives and negatives about it. Please do comment down below. And that's it for this video. I have nothing else to say, so I'll just end it right here. Thank you for sticking around. Have a blessed day.